versus James in the postseason and 22 and 16 overall. Stephen A., who's the most important player not named LeBron or Steph in tonight's playing game?
Believe it or not, I think it's Andrew Wiggins. Somebody that I was quoted as saying I wouldn't give away for a box of cookies. I wouldn't give a box of cookies away to get them. Here's my thing about the former number one overall pick. Andrew Wiggins can play, but that's why I said what I said. Because for every game that he drops big numbers and big buckets, he's a virtual non-factor in the next 5. He just seems to be one of those guys whose numbers don't appear to be impactful almost at any time he plays. And that's what I find disappointing. I never, ever would say he's a scrub and he can't play. He can play. The problem is because he can play, you would expect so much more from him if he had the kind of fire that you're looking for from him. But everybody knows he's been devoid of that throughout his entire career. Jimmy Butler lamented that when they were in Minnesota. Others have lamented it in NBA circles as well. And I think that if he shows up tonight and plays big, because Draymond's going to do what he's going to do. And, you got other guys like Jordan Poole and others. They're going to just do whatever they can. Steph Curry, he's the head of the snake. He's going to try to, save the day, all of that other stuff. But somebody's got to step up and say, Steph don't have Clay. So here I am. Give me the damn ball too. Let's do this. You got to have that kind of attitude. And if Andrew Wiggins has that kind of attitude and is able to put up plus 25 a game, this game could be very, very interesting. The Lakers could be in some trouble. He's about 6'7", 6'8". He's got good enough size. He can make things happen. He's got athleticism. Can he do it? I think that's what makes him important, because I think that's the only thing that gives the Golden State Warriors a chance to win this game.
I'm sorry, Molly. That answer was so ridiculous. I need to make sure that I understand the question. Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, most important player not named LeBron or Steph in tonight's playing game.
Yeah.
And Anthony Davis is playing in the game. And Stephen A. Smith's answer is Andrew Wiggins.
I'm not worried about Anthony Davis.
Box of cookies, right?
I know
you brought it up because I could have sworn. I'm glad you brought it up because I could have sworn I heard you say the other day. I think it was on the jump, right? Wouldn't trade him for a box of cookies.
I did say that.
So what would you trade AD for? What do you like? Chris Rock? 1 rib. How much is 1 rib, right? Like, what would you trade AD for if Andrew Wiggins is more important than Anthony Davis? Anthony Davis might wind up to be the most important player in the game, period. He is on the LeBron Steph level. When you talk about the best players in the game, AD's name is in that conversation. And you want to take a guy like Andrew Wiggins, you could say, well, he has an impact, and for 5 games he doesn't. Andrew Wiggins is a good player. He's not an all-star. He's a good player. AD is an MVP caliber player. AD is so great that just with LeBron alone, they don't need a big 3, according to many. Just those 2 guys. Perk was on here earlier saying they can defend their title in this league, in this Western Conference, with a big 3 in the Nets. Why? Not because LeBron's alone. When LeBron was alone, they couldn't do anything. Because LeBron has Anthony Davis, who is the only argument that AD is not the 3rd most important player in this game is that he's the 2nd or 1st most important. You want to make that argument? That's better than saying he's at best the 4th most important player in the game.
I specifically talked about how Anthony Davis was a top 5 player on the planet. We take for granted what he's going to do, and I'm taking it for granted here. He's LeBron James' teammate. Take LeBron and Steph aside. We know what they have. Just like I mentioned Draymond Green. We know what to expect from Draymond Green in terms of being that point forward and the facilitator and the defender and all of that other stuff. When I answer the question about the most important player not named LeBron or Steph, I'm talking about an X factor that could potentially help dictate an unexpected outcome. Anthony Davis is a given. LeBron is a given. Steph is a given. Whatever you're going to get from Draymond Green is a given. What's the thing you can't take for granted? What's the wild card? That's how I'm okay. Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about somebody that's obvious like Anthony Davis. We know he's the top 5 player on the planet.
I got it. You were answering a different question.
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay,
but to me, it's the same question. The most important player not named LeBron or Steph. I'm looking at it that way because I'm taking for granted Anthony Davis and LeBron on a tear where he was unstoppable and day in and day out we couldn't figure it out. That would be more intriguing. LeBron and AD, if healthy, we know what to expect from them. Another finals berth.
I think the vitamin D, you're getting too much sun out there, brother. You're too amped up. Settle down, Stephen. I know you're excited to be in L.A.
I only
Settle
arrived
down.
here 4 hours ago.
Well, then you have no excuse. Maybe it's too early in the morning. You're delirious.
It's playoff time.
Hold up. The Warriors' deep run more intriguing? That's wrong on so many levels. First of all, when we say deep run, a deep run for the Warriors would be getting to the conference finals. I think we could all agree that's a deep run for them.
Absolutely.
And they're not going to even get to the conference finals. But in this hypothetical, they ain't getting past the conference finals. That's as far as they could go. Versus a team that maybe the first 8 seed, let's see what happens in this game tonight, to win a championship. The defending champion LA Lakers, who actually have a chance to defend that title and may have to do it against a big 3 in Brooklyn, the most awesome assemblage of talent ever, right? In the big 3. Now, that's 1. 2, think about the stakes personally. When we talk about the NBA, Stephen A., the reason it's barbershop conversation, the way the fight game is because as much of it's a team sport, it's an individual star sport too. And when we talk about individual stars, in the history of sports on earth, the number 1 guy is Michael Jordan. And that's who LeBron is chasing. That's who he's taking aim at. When you talk about maybe catching the greatest athlete who ever lived, and that's what LeBron's trying to do. And you could say no now, but a couple weeks ago, you were sitting here doing the thing, if LeBron wins this year, if he gets by through the West and then beats the Nets, we may have to reopen the conversation about Jordan. He's going for his 5th ring, and he's Jordan chasing. And that is the most intriguing thing in these playoffs.
First of all, you just exposed your lack of basketball knowledge and how you read as opposed to watch, and you really don't know what you're talking about. Because when you talk about an 8th-seeded team, the New York Knicks went to the finals as an 8th seed in 19. Let me finish. You'll understand my point if you take a moment to listen. I know you try to interrupt as a debate strategy that never works for you, because if you interrupt somebody's soliloquy, maybe they won't get to their point, but it ain't working with me. The fact of the matter is they went to the finals as an 8th seed, but nobody expected them to win. In the case of the Los Angeles Lakers, we all know the only reason there'll be a 7th or an 8th seed for these playoffs is because LeBron James missed 2 months and Anthony Davis missed longer than that. Even though literally speaking, there'll be a 7th or an 8th seed, there isn't anyone on the planet, including yourself, because you've been on a record stating it on numerous occasions, who view the Lakers as a 7th or 8th seed if it were not for health reasons. And you also conceded the other day with Kendrick Perkins on the show that obviously you're talking about things, but you took health into consideration. If you throw health aside and you take into consideration that they're healthy, nobody is looking at this team this way or nobody is looking at this team that way. And that's what you said about the Lakers, along with a bevy of other teams that suffered injuries. So the Lakers are not or theoretically rather, they are not a 7th or an 8th seed, because we know when healthy, they probably will be the favorites against the number 2 seeded Phoenix Suns. That's not the same thing. So don't talk about how intriguing it's going to be for them to get to the finals or possibly win the championship as a 7th or an 8th seed, because we all know LeBron James and Anthony Davis were out a minimum of 2 months each, and that later in the season, and that compromised everything.
The point of being a lower seed is not no one thought they would be here. The point is, in round 1, you have to play a powerhouse. Instead of a gimme, which is usually what you get in round 1 as a top seed or a top 2 or 3 seed, you're not playing the winner of Memphis.
There are no gimmies in the West.
The winner of the Memphis, Spurs game play-in, if a team like that is sitting there at 8, that's a gimme in the West. That you could say no gimmies, but it's not the same thing as playing the 1, 2, or 3. So when you start out, if you're an 8 seed and you start out first series, you have to play Utah, which has one of the greatest point differentials ever, which has been pretty much the best team in the league, wire to wire just about. You don't think that's an added obstacle?
Max Kellerman. If this argument by you were being made because the Spurs or the Memphis Grizzlies managed to sneak into the postseason as an 8th seed, I get where you're coming from. But that hasn't happened yet. So I ask you a simple question. Take away the 8th seed, literally the 8th seed, because the loser of tonight's game will go against the 9-10 winner, and they'll be the 8th seed. Okay? The top 7 seeds, is there an easy out for any of them?
No, but there are harder outs than some. The Jazz are a harder out than the 5th or 6th seeded team.
So that's what we go.
Yes.
So that's what we're going to do.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're doing.
No.
Yes.
Because the point is that there was a time in recent memory where we could look at a different conference and we could say, hell, this is an easy out, this is an easy out, that's an easy out, because the conference wasn't
it's not
powerful.
the Eastern Conference.
I'm saying the Western Conference is powered from top to bottom in terms of the playoff picture. And so because of it from that, listen, if Steph Curry gets yourself in a situation, why are we so thrilled? Because we know what Steph Curry's capable of, and we know what he's able to infuse. And if you know that, that makes him dangerous. We anticipate that the Lakers will probably